The Spurs are using De'Aaron Fox wrong, and here's the fix. San Antonio upgraded a finals roster, but its biggest offensive improvement may come from changing Fox's role. In a 10-game stretch without Victor Wembanyama and Stephon Castle, he averaged 26.8 points and 6.2 assists, compared with 18.6 points and 6.2 assists over the full season. That does not prove Fox should control every possession, but it reveals a serious problem. He became less dangerous when San Antonio moved him away from the ball. By the end, you will see how more Fox-Wembyama pick and rolls and a smarter rotation with Castle could raise the Spurs' ceiling. And what happens if Fox's lost burst, rather than his role, is the real issue? It would be easy to reduce Fox's season to what happened against the New York Knicks. He averaged only 12.8 points during the 5-game NBA Finals and ended Game 5 with 7 points on 3 of 15 shooting. Those performances deserve criticism because San Antonio needed its second leading scorer to relieve pressure from Wembanyama, and Fox could not consistently provide it. But treating the finals as an isolated collapse misses the larger problem. Fox spent much of the regular season operating in a version of the offense that removed some of his most dangerous qualities. The Spurs still won 62 games, which proves the system was highly successful overall. But team success does not mean every role was optimized. San Antonio reached the finals with Fox below his Sacramento peak. The real opportunity is discovering what the offense could become if the Spurs recovered that version of him without damaging everything Castle and Wembanyama already built. Early in the season, the compromise appeared to be working. Fox averaged 22.4 points and shot 39.5% from 3 during his first 20 games. Those numbers made his changing shot profile look sustainable. Instead of living at the rim, he relied more heavily on pull-up jumpers, mid-range attempts, and off-the-dribble threes. Fox has always been capable of making those shots, and the mid-range can remain an important playoff weapon when defenses protect the paint. The problem appears when those difficult jumpers become the foundation of his scoring, rather than a counter to his speed. A pull-up heavy offense demands consistent shooting every night. Rim pressure offers layups, free throws, collapsed defenses, and passing opportunities even when the jumper disappears. Once Fox's outside shooting cooled, San Antonio no longer had enough of that reliable pressure to protect his production. And then the roster temporarily changed, giving the Spurs their clearest clue. During the 10-game stretch without Wembanyama and Castle, Fox became the unquestioned organizer and responded with 26.8 points and 6.9 assists per game. That is not definitive proof that every decline came from his role. 10 games remain a small sample, opponents change, shooting fluctuates, and greater usage naturally creates more counting statistics. But the difference is too relevant to dismiss. Fox was not waiting for possessions to reach him after another creator had already initiated the offense. He was deciding where the possession began, attacking before the defense became organized, and forcing help defenders to react to his speed. That freedom brought him closer to the player San Antonio believed it was acquiring. The Spurs should not conclude that Fox needs Wembanyama and Castle removed from the floor. They should conclude that his best qualities become harder to access when he is treated primarily as an off-ball scorer beside them. That distinction changes the entire solution. Stephon Castle complicates the decision because his growth as a playmaker was one of San Antonio's greatest successes. Castle developed a productive pick-and-roll connection with Wembanyama, used his strength to enter the paint, and proved that the offense could trust him with meaningful creation responsibilities. Taking every important possession away from Castle would solve one problem by creating another. The same will eventually apply to Dylan Harper, whose development also requires time with the ball. But an NBA offense does not need one permanent point guard for all 48 minutes. The Spurs can preserve Castle's progress while giving Fox dedicated windows as the primary organizer. The conflict is not Fox versus Castle. It is whether Mitch Johnson can construct a hierarchy flexible enough to use each guard where he creates the most damage. And that is where the adjustment becomes more specific than simply increasing Fox's usage. San Antonio should begin games by establishing Fox as an attacker before asking him to become a spacer. Give him early pick and rolls with Wembanyama, allow Castle to attack the second side, and then stagger the guards so Fox controls selected possessions with the reserve unit. Castle can still lead stretches when Fox rests, and both can close games when their defensive and offensive responsibilities are clearly divided. Fox should initiate enough actions to force the defense to account for his speed, while Castle can cut, screen, attack a rotating defense, or take over when a matchup favors his strength. This would not turn the offense into a one-player system. It would create multiple entry points. More importantly, Fox would stop spending long stretches waiting for the ball, while the defense remains positioned to treat him like an ordinary perimeter shooter. That is the first part of the fix, but the second part could be even more valuable. That is the first part of the fix. If this is the kind of Spurs analysis you want, leave a like, because the second part may be the most underused action in San Antonio's offense. Fox and Wembanyama must run more pick and rolls. Their combination creates a decision that few defenses can solve comfortably. If the opposing big drops toward Wembanyama, Fox gains room for his floater and mid-range pull-up. If the defender steps higher, Fox can use his speed to attack the rim while Wembanyama rolls behind the play. If two defenders commit to the ball, Wembanyama can receive it in space and force the entire weak side to rotate. San Antonio does not need to abandon the Castle-Wembanyama partnership to make this happen. It needs a second elite version of the same basic problem, one built around Fox's acceleration rather than Castle's power. Playoff defenses become stronger when they can prepare for one primary action. Giving them two different creators working with the league's most unusual big man makes San Antonio much more difficult to predict. That is also why the solution cannot be reduced to giving Fox more shots. San Antonio needs better possessions, not simply a larger box score total. Fox must touch the paint earlier, attack before the defense loads toward him, and use the jumper after establishing the threat of the drive. But that leads to the harder question. What if Fox's burst does not fully return? A larger on-ball role will reveal that answer quickly. If he consistently creates separation and forces the second defender to help, then last season's role was limiting him. If he still settles for difficult jumpers despite controlling the action, the problem may extend beyond offensive structure. That possibility must remain part of the evaluation. Fox's Sacramento peak was built on acceleration, rim pressure, and the ability to change direction before defenders could recover. The floater and mid-range jumper were effective because opponents first had to protect the basket. If the burst is no longer the same, running more pick and rolls will not automatically restore his best version. The Spurs must help with spacing, screening angles, and lineup construction. But Fox must also prove he can convert those advantages into paint touches. That makes the beginning of next season especially important. San Antonio should not wait until another playoff series to learn whether this adjustment works. The regular season must become an extended test of whether Fox can consistently force defenses to collapse instead of merely shooting over them. The statistics worth watching will go beyond points per game. How frequently does Fox reach the restricted area? How many free throws does his pressure create? Does San Antonio generate open corner threes after he turns the corner? How often does Wembanyama receive the ball on the roll with the defense already compromised? And does Fox remain efficient when Castle shares the floor with him? Those answers will reveal more than another 20-point average. Fox can score 20 while taking difficult shots and leaving the offense vulnerable when they stop falling. A more valuable version may score a similar amount while generating easier possessions for everyone around him. That distinction is essential because the Spurs already possess enough individual talent. Their next improvement must come from making those pieces amplify one another. This decision will also affect Castle and Harper. Restoring Fox as a primary ball handler does not mean freezing the younger guards out of the offense, but it does require San Antonio to define their responsibilities. Castle can continue operating with Wembanyama, lead units without Fox, and punish defenses after Fox creates the first rotation. Harper can receive developmental possessions without being asked to organize every reserve lineup immediately. The objective should be complementary pressure rather than three guards taking turns in isolation. Fox remains the most proven scorer of the group. Castle offers size and two-way force, and Harper brings another long-term creation option. If Mitch Johnson separates their minutes intelligently and builds lineups around their different strengths, the crowded backcourt becomes an advantage. If every guard receives the same vague assignment, the congestion could reduce all three. That is why off-season additions cannot solve this problem by themselves. Tobias Harris can improve shooting and forward depth. Terrace Reed can provide physicality, rebounding, and another screening option. San Antonio's young players can continue developing behind the established core. But none of those improvements replaces the need for Fox to perform like the star the Spurs expected. A championship roster is determined by what its best players can create when the first option is taken away. Wembanyama will receive traps, switches, and entire defensive game plans designed to remove his preferred actions. When that happens, Fox must punish the attention instead of becoming another stationary option around it. If San Antonio unlocks him, every role player becomes more dangerous. If it cannot, the burden returns to Wembanyama, precisely when playoff basketball becomes most demanding. So here is the final answer. The Spurs should not hand Fox every possession or interrupt Castle's development. They should give Fox defined stretches as the primary creator, increase his pick-and-roll volume with Wembanyama, stagger him more frequently from Castle and Harper, and judge the experiment by rim pressure and team advantages rather than points alone. That structure gives San Antonio the best chance to recover the speed-based Fox who once controlled games in Sacramento, while preserving the young backcourt that represents the franchise's future. The new roster raised the Spurs' floor, but Fox still has the power to determine their ceiling. If this adjustment restores his best qualities, San Antonio may already possess the offensive answer it lacked in the finals. If it does not, the organization will have to confront a much larger question about the future of its backcourt. And if you want to understand why next season may determine whether Fox remains central to that future, watch our full breakdown of the Spurs' possible backcourt succession plan next. It explains how Dylan Harper's rise could change everything if San Antonio cannot unlock the version of De'Aaron Fox it still needs.